Welcome to the Dispatch. You're listening to a primer on Jammu and Kashmir. In episode 39, we trace key developments between the day India celebrated its first Independence Day and when Jammu and Kashmir became part of the Indian Union.
The months between August and October 1947 were among the most turbulent in the modern history of Jammu and Kashmir. British paramountcy had lapsed, India and Pakistan had emerged as independent states, and the princely states were required to decide their political future. For Jammu and Kashmir, the decision came under conditions of uncertainty, internal tension, and mounting external pressure. On the 15th of August 1947, Maharaja Hari Singh had not acceded to either dominion. The state executed a standstill agreement with Pakistan intended to preserve trade, transport, and communication arrangements, while negotiations with India were still being considered. This cautious position reflected the Maharaja's desire to maintain autonomy and assess both options. But it also created administrative ambiguities during a moment of immense regional upheaval. In the weeks that followed, the political atmosphere grew more strained. The valley remained quiet, though the National Conference, still the most organized political force, pressed for the release of Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah and called for responsible government. The Dogra administration, wary of instability, continued to maintain law and order but faced mounting pressure from several directions. The most serious disturbances emerged in Poonch, where grievances over taxation, demobilization of ex-servicemen, and long-standing administrative frictions escalated through the summer of 1947. Protests, petitions, and refusals to pay certain levies gradually hardened into armed resistance in pockets of the region. Localized clashes intensified, and the state's attempts to restore order met with limited success. While the disturbances were rooted in local social and economic issues, they were increasingly influenced by the broader political climate of the subcontinent. Simultaneously, the frontier regions experienced rising tension. In the northern districts, especially areas adjacent to the northwest frontier province, reports of armed infiltration and mobilization circulated widely. The collapse of British control on the frontier, coupled with wider communal violence in Punjab, created an environment of uncertainty. The state's small and dispersed forces struggled to manage these pressures, and the Maharaja's administration found its resources stretched. In Jammu province, the effects of partition were deeply felt. Refugees began arriving from adjoining districts of West Punjab, bringing with them accounts of violence. Communal tension, previously contained, sharpened under the pressure of migration and economic disruption. Law and order challenges required continuous administrative attention, complicating the state's ability to address developments elsewhere. Through September 1947, political communication with both dominions intensified. India emphasized the constitutional requirement that a state could legally accede at any point, but warned that security conditions could deteriorate beyond repair. Pakistan pressed its own diplomatic and logistical claims, and the standstill agreement became increasingly strained as transport and postal links faced disruption. The turning point came in late October 1947 when large armed groups from across the western frontier entered the state through the Muzaffarabad-Baramulla axis. Their rapid movement overwhelmed local forces, leading to severe law and order breakdowns and civilian distress in several areas. The state's military capacity, already limited, proved insufficient to halt the advance towards Srinagar. Faced with an urgent security collapse, Maharaja Hari Singh requested immediate military assistance from India. The Government of India, following established constitutional practice, required an instrument of accession before deploying troops. On 26 October 1947, the Maharaja signed the instrument, acceding to India in matters of defense, external affairs, and communications. The next day, Indian troops were airlifted to Srinagar to stabilize the situation and defend the valley. These events did not unfold in isolation but were shaped by the interplay of internal unrest, frontier pressures, administrative limits, and the larger geopolitical transformation of 1947. The accession, taken under the strain of armed attack and administrative emergency, became the foundational act linking Jammu and Kashmir to the Indian Union, a decision whose significance continues to shape the region's history.
Thanks for watching this episode of Primer on Jammu and Kashmir. Here is a quick note from the editors of the Dispatch. While dealing with historical events, we are conscious of the fact that history has no single view. In places like Jammu and Kashmir, this can be more complicated. While explaining the events of history through this primer, we are taking the best possible care to be objective and to offer context wherever views differ starkly. We welcome you to write to us and enrich the knowledge base on Jammu and Kashmir.